Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Driveway Engineer. I'm JR. This isn't exactly the video I wanted to do today, but it comes up like herpes every so often. Just a little background here. This is my truck. If you don't know, it's a 79 C10. I call it Daryl. It has a 6-liter LQ4, sloppy stage 2 cam, some pack 12-18 springs, 373 geared rear end from a Ford Expedition, and a roughly 30-inch tall tire, and it can do burnouts like this at will. It also has a 4L80E, which is a topic of controversy, so I want to talk about it today versus the 4L60. Again, this like keeps coming up again and again and again, and I keep seeing the same old bullshit by the same old "well, I heard" type motherfuckers who like, what did you hear? Well, from everything I've seen, you haven't seen shit, asshole. So, weight. A 4L80E weighs 178 pounds without a converter. I can pick them up. It's not super hard. A 4L60 weighs 140 pounds, so 30 pounds difference. What converter you run will make a difference. If you're running like a 12-inch full-size converter, it's going to be heavier than like a smaller 10-inch converter like I have in Daryl. I don't think this is going to change your life, and it's bizarre to me that people try to justify 4L60s based on that. Gear ratios. The gear ratios in a 4L80, I guess it depends on how you look at it. People say they're worse. I say they're closer together. You have 248 first, a 148 second, a 1 to 1 third, and a 0.75 fourth. So it actually makes the shifts close together. But we'll move on to the 4L60 ratios here. It has a 3 to 1, almost 3.06 to 1 low gear. This is what allowed your Uncle Rodney's Monte Carlo SS to just peel one tire forever with 223 rear gears and a 305 high output, son. That some bitch shits and gets. These ratios were designed around getting cars with super tall gears off the line with no power, right? These were designed when things made 150, 200 horsepower. And so nowadays, Bryce can roll around listening to Kane West or whatever, Kane Brown, I don't even know the dude's fucking name, dipping his fucking Copenhagen in a Silverado with his 35-inch mud grips, and he can still move along okay with 373 gears or 342 gears. And that's also what leads to a lot of 4L60 failures, is people are driving around like with wildly too large tires and not paying attention to the fact that it's constantly hunting. Stall speeds is something I want to talk about. A 4L60 with a stock 350 has an 1800 RPM stall converter-ish. There's a bunch of different converters out there, but that's a good rule of thumb. A 350 in like a K2500 HD or a K3500 will have a 2200 RPM stall converter, and it's because of that taller first gear. They're not willing to sacrifice the strength to go down to a 4L60 to get a giant U-Haul box truck with a 350 in it off the line. They just add more stall speed. And if you're coming into LS engines from small blocks and you think that like a 2200, 2600 RPM converter is good enough, it's not at all. Like, the minimum converter you should be running with a 4L80 and any LS at all is like 3200 RPM minimum. Daryl has a 3500 RPM converter, and it does this whenever I feel like it. That's the point of lockup converters. They lock up and you're not slipping going down the road, and it's not a big deal. So you can't, well, you can, but it's hard to overstall them. Start at 3000 RPM. The cost. I paid like 125. I have two 4L80s right now, and I didn't pay more than 150 for either one of them. But we will go over here. I can get a 6-liter with a 4L80 for $1,200. I can get a 4L80 for $300. Here's some 4L60s rebuilt, whatever. if they're not in your junkyard, whatever excuse you're gonna use, like, you can buy one all day, every day for like $1,000. $1,000. We'll get one dropped in your car from carpart.com, or the back of your truck, or whatever you have, your rape band. RPM transmissions for a level 5 4L60 is $3,300. I don't know what level you think you need. Apparently they start at 5. It's like Henry Ford with the serial numbers. They go up to there. A level 10, $6,000. Okay, so even if you pay the I'm lazy as fuck couch tax and get into a 4L80 for $1,000, how does this make any sense? How does this make any fucking sense? Performabuilt Black Edition, $6,300. That's something you want to do. I don't have $6,300 into my entire truck right now with a turbo and a Holley. This is madness. There's no reason why anybody should be picking these unless you're like actually literally constrained by the architecture of your car, like, or you're just stock, right? If you have a stock vehicle and you just want it to go down the road, a 4L60 will do that fine. They do it for hundreds of thousands of miles. If you want to do shit like this because you think it's funny all the time, you're gonna cry with a 4L60 every time. This chart was provided to me by a friend of mine. This is a dyno chart. His car, his drag car, hot rod car, not real drag car. He takes it to the strip. But this is his car before and after from a 4L60 to a 4L80. He used the same transmission, or the same drive shaft with a different yoke. Excuse me. Just about every, the shifter was the same. I think he scooted the cross member back a little bit. He didn't see any difference in his track times, so he went and ran the thing on the dyno. And we can all benefit from this. So the 4L60 made a peak of 440 horsepower, and the 4L80 made a peak of 432 horsepower. So just to reiterate, that's a difference of 8 horsepower. 8 horsepower. That's so close that I can chalk it up to a difference between runs, and it was different days. He was in Texas, it was hot as balls. But torque, the 4L60 put down 491 foot-pounds, the 4L80 put down 486 foot-pounds. 5 foot-pounds. Again, you'll never notice the difference. So I know there's boomers out there like, my Yukon can't spin the tires in the snow. Yeah, that's because you don't have a good combination. There's a 4L80 is like beef on sale, like day old hamburger. Like, it's a lot of beef for cheap, right? Like, we got to get it out of here. We just got to go. At the end of the, like, they'll pretty much all fit in the same space. The 4L80 is like, I don't know, 7/8 of an inch longer or something like that. I guess I probably could have put that in my little notes here. Don't ask for a copy of this file. This is literally just my script to follow along so that I can stay on track for you guys. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll leave it up to you. If you want to spend 5 times as much for 8 horsepower because you think that'll change your life, and you know, you also want to spend 5 times as much for aluminum blocks because you think that'll change your life, more power to you. But if you're really competing at that level of competition where you're like bottom 10s or faster, 9s, 8s, you shouldn't be running either one of these electronic overdrive transmissions. You should be running like a Turbo 400 with a 2nd gear start or some really fancy shit. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time on The Driveway Engineer. Say hi to Uncle Rodney for me.